Listen, good Friday morning. Hope things are going well for everybody. But hey, guys, I want to talk with you a little bit about Black History Month. Black History Month is coming up, and as we all know, every day is Black History Day. But sometimes we get stuck wondering about Black history, and we talk about Black History Month, and we do all of that. But I want you to tell your story. Now, as you guys know, I do a podcast called the Nobody Asked Me Guy Show. And I want you to tell your own story. Now, you obviously can come on my show and do that. However, I want you guys to sit down, get your pen, and just kind of type out or write out things that you do that no one knows. Why do we do that? Because most of us complain about history and Black history not being taught, and that those things of that nature. But I tell you what, when we start writing our own history and we start archiving our own things, we don't have to worry about whether our history is being told or not. So listen, I want you guys to do this. Tell your own story. I know that I am not, and I repeat, I know that I am not the only one that have been blessed to have done some things in my life that the only person that knows about it is me, and maybe those that I've been blessed to be around and have affected, and they've affected me. So as we sit back and many times we talk about firsts and that kind of thing, let me assure you, there is only one first. Now there are a lot of copycats out there, and you have a lot of people that copycat, and you have a lot of people that come behind you and do stuff, and you have a lot of people that always say, well, I could have done that. Well, then why didn't you do it? Or you have people that say, well, we used to do that, then why did you stop? So as we talk about history, as we are preparing for, and I do say, quote, Black History Month, understand, and I know that you do, every day is Black history. However, I implore you to start jotting down your history. See, a lot of people confuse a diary with writing their personal archives, because a diary usually is. Of course, we write a lot of things in our diary, but a lot of people usually talk about their romances and their failure in love, and we know a lot of people write things about their families. But when do you take time to archive you and the blessings that have been bestowed upon you to do the things that you do as a human being, as an individual, as a friend, as a family member, etc. Now, I know you guys watch movies, and you probably say, well, that's just they could have made a movie about me, because that's what I do. So I am imploring you to step up, get your pen, uh, archive yourself, write your book, write your paper, talk about life, talk about those things that interest you. And I have people sometimes when I do speeches, and you'll bring a bio, and they'll say, well, it's too much stuff to read, and I accept that. I have no problem with that. But I always tell individuals when they come on my show, the Nobody Asked Me Guy show, I read everything to our audience, because if it was important enough for them to put it down and to share with us, and it only takes us a minute, two at the tops, to share people's information, then it's never too much to read. I've always said, as a professional, even when I trained students, when I was instructing and working with graduate students, I explain to people is don't insult people's intelligence by saying it's too much to read because you don't want to read it. Just designate somebody and find somebody else to read that person's bio. We request the bio, so then you should read it. And that's what I'm saying to you. Take time, write down your information, because you guys do so much stuff throughout your lives that go unnoticed. And with all of the craziness going on and the racial hatred and all of that stuff going on, and people saying, well, black people this and black people that, then write your own history. As we know, you can look around the world right now in the state of Texas, how they are changing the textbooks and taking out slavery and trying to make it look like people came here on their own and all of that kind of foolishness. Or they try to switch the words around. But even the Statue of Liberty, let me say this real quickly. I wonder how many of you actually understand and know that when the Statue of Liberty was given to us by France, the Statue of Liberty had a broad nose just like mine. It was an ethnic statue, but they went in and changed up the nose and changed some other stuff, tried to make it appear to be of European descent. So not only do we need to know our history, we need to share our history with other people. You know, all of these things in the history books, guys, listen, when you allow your oppressor to write the narrative, there's no telling what's being written. And even to those that are, and dare I say, because as you guys know, my wife's a pastor and we have some interesting conversations, but dare I say to those of you that are in the ministry and that kind of thing, when you do extensive study and when it tell us that the King James Version is the most accurate version at about 97%, well, what's in that other 3%? With all of it, what people try to support slavery through the Bible and all of that. So if the King James Version is only 97%, and it's said to be the most complete version of the Bible. And people try to support foolishness that they want to support by grabbing up the Bible. So we have to be careful and we have to study and know what we're talking about. So guys, listen, I sit before you and just I was thinking about that this morning and I felt very strongly that I just needed to just kind of share with my friends this morning and just to help you understand that what you do is just as important, if not more important, than what other people do. Those same people that you see on TV, the same people that you see in movies, the same people that you read about, they are no different than you are. They've not done any more than you have done. So archive yourself. Teach your children our history. I say to people that look like me all the time, stop being embarrassed about who you are. I mean, who decides that you're supposed to be embarrassed anyway? Who asked you if you were going to be black, white, brown, if you were going to have gray hair, if you were going to have, quote, nappy hair, if you were going to have straight hair, curly hair? Who asked you? Now, unless, guys, unless you're different from me, unless, you know, before, and I mean to be respectful here, ladies and gentlemen, before the egg got fertilized. So unless somebody said to the sperm and to the egg, is hey, you guys got to have a conversation before things will be fertilized, because this embryo that's going to be formed have to have an opportunity to agree whether he or she wants to be born or not. So see, we need to stop the foolishness. Now, how do we stop the foolishness? First of all, by getting a grip on ourselves. Secondly, by writing our history and understanding very, very clearly that history is just that, history. And we've all heard it in songs and all fixed up and on titles, and people talk about his story. Well, it really is your story. Start archiving the information, write it down. Every time I sit around and I look at things that the Lord has blessed me to do, I'm going like, wow. And people always have said to me that I'm very hard-headed. And I tell people all the time, yeah, I'm an activist, but to have been blessed to have been the first African American head coach and athletic director down in Arcadia, Louisiana. Come on, a guy that's hard-headed as me, to have been the first African American high school football coach and instructor in a place called Dickinson, Texas. Somebody that's hard-headed as me. You know what I'm saying? To have been the first African American administrator in Michigan at this high school, upper middle class, over 5 people applying, and they selected me. Now, and I've been blessed with much more, but am I bragging? Of course not. I'm just saying to you, I know you guys do much, much more than people are aware of, and people try to minimize you. So I'm just here this morning to just encourage you to start writing down the things that you've been blessed to do and the things that God has blessed you to do and things that you're excited about. Because I'm telling you, I tell people all the time, some of the smartest people that I know never finished 5th grade. Why do I say that? Because my great grandmother, I don't even know if she went to school, to be very honest with you. I know she couldn't read her name, but she was one of the most brilliant people I know. And many other elderly people that have long been passed. And even now, people try to measure you up by what grades you ascended to in high school or what university you went to and all of that. Well, as we know, with the recent scandals that have been going on, all of these smart people who bought their children's way into these major colleges and stuff like that, and have the audacity to tell you that they are somehow superior to you. Come on, guys. Wake up, smell the coffee. So this morning talk is simply about, as we're preparing for, quote, Black History Month, unquote. It is simply about understanding who we really are. And guys, stop apologizing. I got to say this to you. I'm sorry, but it blows me away how Black people always apologizing. Who are you apologizing to? And what are you apologizing for? So until someone can explain that to me as to who we are apologizing to and what we are apologizing for, then I can understand why we're always apologizing. I've been guilty myself. If something goes wrong and the news is talking about somebody, and we can readily say, yeah, the person must be white because they never said a Black male. Or if something goes crazy, you say, I hope they wasn't Black. And then when they're not Black, we go, whew. And I think most of us are guilty of that because we still think we have to apologize for the inappropriate actions of people that look like us when no one talks about inappropriate actions of people that do not look like us. I call them my less melanated brothers and sisters because that's who they are. If we believe what we say we believe, we said that God made man in his own image and he has no respect of person. That if we believe that. So February is designated Black History Month. I sincerely hope that all of us take our time, process information, think about those that have brought us thus far, think about those individuals that other people thought were not important, think about those individuals that struggled to see us and to make sure that we had some sense of support. And all these people, and listen, allow me to say this to my moms and to the guys. All these people that's always trying to talk about this single mama stuff, you guys better stop and think. Mamas have always raised us, even when men were in the house, even now, and people try to give mothers a bad rap. But you never hear people say, listen to the news closely, you never hear one say, and I'll use my name, thank God I haven't had those problems. Melvin Lars did that because he didn't have a dad in the house. When dad is sitting right there in the house. They just skip over that part. Okay? So we're just saying to our moms, take pride and be happy about what you do. And obviously everybody have enough intelligence to understand that, yeah, life would be much easier if we had both mom and dad doing their parts and rearing our kids. Now, let me say to the men that's watching and that will watch this clip later on, I hope, we don't get a pass. Just because you talk to a guy, your son or your stepson or young men about girls or sports or partaking of a substance, that's nothing. They get that anyway. So we need to engage in rearing them about strength and about growth and about how to treat their mothers, how to treat their wives, how to treat their girlfriends, and most of all, not most of all, but as importantly, how to treat themselves. Because all this foolishness about not being cool and not being hip and being square if you don't drink, if you don't smoke, and all of that foolishness, I got one thing to say to people that think like that. You are the one with the issue. Why do I say that? It's because if you have to drink and smoke and do other things to feel good about yourself and to be happy, you have an issue. Think about it. When you were a kid, all you did was you get toys, you play, you laugh, you run, you jump. You didn't need a substance to help you feel good about yourself. You didn't need to smoke to help you feel good about yourself. You didn't need to drink to help you feel good about yourself. You were just going on the endorphins that are naturally within your body. So we need to stop pushing our children out there to do drugs and to drink and stuff, because that's what we're doing. We push them out there without thinking, oh, well, it's okay. Everybody does it. And we know you just want to have a good time and we're just celebrating. Does it really take that to celebrate? Think about it. So all of these things we have to master within ourselves and stop making apologies for mistakes that we've made in our lives and start correcting those mistakes. Now, guys, listen, please join me. I'm on most Friday nights with the Nobody Asked Me Guy show, and we talk about real things. Most of us have heard about the murder in Dallas with Botham Jean. It's really Jean. We say Gene, but it's really John. Just 2 Fridays ago, his attorney was on my show, Attorney Darrell Washington. We have real people on our show. So join us and watch that show. You go to YouTube and you just hit subscribe, and you'll be on our show. Now, most of you are aware of Clifton Davis, Amen, and That's My Mom, and all of that stuff. Reverend Gregory. Reverend Gregory has always been on our show. You sports guys are familiar with Billy White Shoes Johnson. Billy White Shoes has always been on our show. So why am I sharing these names? Is because I want you guys to understand that the Nobody Asked Me Guy show is a real show, and we have powerful people that come on. Now, who's coming up in February? Right now, we have our local radio personality, Mr. T Lamp. I always mess with him because his name is really Lamptey, but he calls himself T Lamp because it's Terry Lamp, and he will be on the 7th. Then we have an 8-time best-selling author and her sister. Now, these two sisters didn't even know that they were sisters. They befriended one another on Facebook, and they both found out that they were sisters. They came from very what we would call rough backgrounds. There was unfortunately drugs involved with their parents, et cetera, et cetera. But they both made it through, and they are both authors and professional people, et cetera. So, and that's just two of our guests. Then we have the Overton clan, Miss Chantel Overton. Most of you guys are waiting on the movie right now for Black Wall Street, and you're waiting on the movie The Banker. Well, Mr. Anthony Overton, which is Chantel's first cousin, and Chantel is a historian of the family, is one of the bankers that helped to set up the bank on Black Wall Street, and it's one of the bankers in the bank. So these are the kinds of guests that we have. And we also ask that our local people be guests on my show. Just inbox me. Inbox me, or you have ideas of people that you want to see on the show, inbox me, and we'll do everything we can to get those individuals on our show. And we'd like to have you on the show as well. It's very simple. You don't have to go any place physical. You just get your laptop, just like we're doing right now, and you can see me, but then when you come on the show, they will be able to see you as well. And we go all over the country. We go to Venezuela, South Africa. We have viewers from all over the place. And you get to share your story. You may have a story that you want to share. So please, we solicit, and we hope that we get local people and people that we know, along with a high profile. So remember what I said? Nobody's story is any more important than yours. Just because you may not be on HBO, just because you may not be on Showtime and all of that, that doesn't mean that their story is any more important than yours. People just know them because they're on TV. So guys, listen, we just want to share with you a little bit today, and hopefully you guys are ready for Black history, and that you'll pay attention, and you'll be working with your children and teaching your children about their history, because our children, ladies and gentlemen, let me be very, very frank, our children do not know who they are. And we have to do a better job of helping them know who they are. So guys, listen, stay abreast. We will be on the Nobody Asked Me Guy show, and look for the information that I list, who our guests are and when they'll be. And we would love to have you as being our guest. We also would love to have you being part of the show. And I want to thank, hey, Pat, thank you for joining. Gary Holt, thank you, my brother. Cousin Cedric. Craig is one of my former athletes. Joined us as well, and some other people were here, and that's it. They jumped off. But anyway, we appreciate you guys. We don't want to hold you here all. I just want to say that join us on the Nobody Asked Me Guy show, because we have a very interesting show. So guys, listen, I will be back before we start our Black History Month. And please inbox me with any questions that you may have, any guests that you want to suggest that might be a part of the show, and definitely include yourselves. So have a great and blessed Friday.